taking some lessons or something.
She's taking a Mike Kaplan class.
Doing
that's
all the
good.
angles.
There you go.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's
Mike, what
very
do you
good.
think? Overall, good?
Absolutely, absolutely. I wish I had access like that, but I'm not married to a Bears player.
Maybe one day, and you're not an Olympic gymnast. Sorry.
Right.
All right, that's it for us today here on Good Day Chicago. Stay right here. Chicago Now starts now. Well, Chicago Now, my IFB, which is what we have in our ear, is so loud right now. And
It is.
yeah,
Caitlin.
we're screaming in my ear.
This is
That's-
insider knowledge. IFB is the earpiece here.
Yeah, we're
I don't even
gonna
know
be-
what it stands for. Do you?
No, but we're going to be
I always
using
thought
it eventually.
interfrequency something or other. I have
Sounds
no
right
idea.
to me.
Here's a hack. You want to hear a This is inside broadcaster hack.
Ooh, tell me.
I switch it up like every 6 months so that because there are times where you just get blown out. You know, you have the volume on too loud. Switch it up so that like one of your ears.
Never put the IFB in my other ear.
Really?
Ever.
Which ear? So you have it
My
in your
right. Always.
So I just wonder.
Wait, you know
the thing is,
what?
you have to get another. There's a left piece and a right piece.
Oh.
That might not fit in your other ear if it feels weird.
I feel like I'm going to be like writing with my left hand. I don't know how.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hi.
We both got haircuts at 4 o'clock yesterday. Yours looks great.
Hey, thanks. It was so funny. I made a video about how when women get their hair done, it's like the most unflattering situation.
Why?
Because we've got the foil.
Isn't it supposed to be the opposite? Oh, okay.
Yeah, like in the process.
Oh,
like
okay.
it is not a glamorous process, but it's a long process. That's the other thing. 4 or 5 hours to get hair colored as a female.
So you did the cut color.
I didn't cut it.
Oh, okay. You just
Yeah.
got the color.
But you
color.
got no
I did not
color
get
and
it
you got it
colored.
cut.
If I was going to get it colored, I'd have to dye this right here. Every time I go back, this gray patch just grows, and it's slowly.
Yeah, but the volume of your hair is still good.
Thank you.
That's all real, right?
It's all real.
So you could just go salt and pepper and call
Yeah,
it
no,
a
that's
day.
what I'm going to do. That's what I'm doing.
I
I'm leaning
love
into the
that.
salt and pepper.
You're not picking out the
No,
things.
no.
No. No, I love that. Embrace it.
I'm trying to roll with it.
Yeah. What else is going on, you guys? I hope
lots.
you're doing well. Traffic's been light, so I'm hoping that means that those of you who are watching us are off today, hopefully off this whole week, and just enjoying yourselves, just like yesterday.
I know. This is the week where those folks that aren't working tend to get confused which day it is, which is
Yeah.
kind of a cool problem to have in adulthood. You know, it's like summer break when you're a kid.
Yeah.
The time between.
And we're on a broken record here, but just everybody being sick, so like you can't hang out. So everybody's just stuck in their house. That's the only issue. And it's too cold to go for a walk today. We're in the 20s.
The sicknesses, I don't want to go into detail, but the sicknesses are hitting the newsroom. And we had guests in town ever since Christmas Eve. We just found out that one of them has the influenza A.
Yeah.
Influenza A. And there's just everything floating around right now.
I know.
The Cook County Health Department, we reported this on Good Day, are reporting that ER visits are spiking right now. And they spiked by I don't remember the stat, but right before Christmas,
Okay.
they started spiking. And that is not a good sign because that's many family gatherings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right before the family gatherings, you don't want to see a spike.
Right, because everybody gets together and then it spreads. Just stay hydrated, folks. And if you got a little tickle or a bug,
Stay home.
stay home. I know it's boring. Just watch us. Watch us all day.
Watch Jake's, okay, I think 9 out of 10 of Jake's best or his favorite movies of the year are streamable.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be so great to go through? Every time Jake does his list, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to see that. I have to see that. Mental note, mental note, mental note.
I know. And if you've got little kids, pull up YouTube and look up Danny Go because he makes music videos. They're
Danny
fabulous.
Go?
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Just as it sounds.
D-A-N-N-Y?
Yeah, and
'Cause
then
there's-
G-O.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Danny Go. Danny Go, your kids will love it. And also, you could do a brain break party where it looks like they're playing a game. It's YouTube. but they're not playing a game. It just, they'll jump around, they'll move around, get out some of that energy. Just a little
We have been trying to figure out things inside to burn off energy for the kids.
Yeah.
And my in-laws got our little one, the 4-year-old, this like indoor climbing gym, which you hang it from a bar and you hang it in a door frame, and it has like a climbing bar, a swing, and this sensory swing, which is interesting. Have you heard of these sensory swings?
Is it like the ribbon thing? Kind of like where it's like a material?
It's a big, it almost looks like a big pouch.
Yeah.
And they spend time, you can get in all these different little positions and swing. I can see why it's a product that is actually made to market.
Do you need a big space for it, or like a regular doorway?
Just a regular. We have kind of an open basement where you can hang things from like a steel beam.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So there's a little more room for the thing to swing around.
Got
you
it.
could do it in a doorway. You just they would be going more back and forth. Whereas when Jero gets in this thing, he's just like all over the place,
In your basement?
in the basement. And you can kind of hang in there and play with your hands on the floor, but like the rest of your body's suspended.
Well,
So
that's
it just
fun.
works. Because he is such a, I find that, I've heard that boys are at that age, a little more just like like in their body.
Yes.
Inability to sit still. And so for people wired like that, this is a really good option, especially during the winter months.
I worry about the concrete floor in the basement.
I know.
Because
ours is concrete too, but we put the yoga mat under there,
Okay.
and we put a couple area rugs around there.
Throw some clothes on the ground.
Yeah.
Yesterday we were talking about the new year and like your New Year's resolutions, and I was going on about how I feel like it's going to be easier this year because Bodie is a year and a half, and then yesterday he learned how to climb on top of the kitchen counters. So
Yes.
that's where we're at now.
Oh man, I don't miss. I mean, I still have to do
This is
the
the hard.
life-saving.
Yeah.
You save their life like what, like 20 times a day?
Oh yeah.
And now mine's 4. Yours is mine's down to like 2 or 3 life-saving.
The girls were
Things
so
a day.
different, to your point.
Yeah. Just less like wrangling. Less wrangling.
Yes, I had a picture. We were at the beach, and Darcy was probably a year and a half. This was my middle kid. And I looked so at peace and just relaxed with my, 4-year-old and almost 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And nowadays, if it was Bodie,
you're
he's a
back to-
boy. Boys are crazy.
I know.
Crazy.
I am learning this. So I don't have girls. I don't know any different. But every
They sit
girl
taller.
mom, girl dad that comes over, they're like, wow, like
It's too much. How do we wrangle these boys?
what?
You send them outside. Go run around the block and come back.
Here's another thing I've heard.
Okay.
I don't want to make too many stereotypes, but payback comes during the adolescent
teenage years. I've heard that.
Exactly.
With the hormones.
We boy dads, we're paying it forward right now, and then we get to maybe ease off the gas pedal a little bit during the preteen years, and then I feel sorry for you guys.
I know.
the girls.
And then we've got weddings and all that.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So anyways, about TMZ. Let's talk Hollywood. shall
Yes,
we?
let's bring in Branson Quirk to the conversation here. Branson, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you guys doing over
We
there?
are doing good. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. We have been speaking with your newsroom over recent weeks, Michael Babcock in particular, about this David Celeste Rivas situation. And it's been a mystery. There's been so many questions regarding this case. And I understand you guys are reporting that David could be in some serious legal trouble. Will you get us up to date, Branson?
Absolutely. I mean, what we're seeing right now is that a grand jury has been hearing evidence from several witnesses, people that are important to the case for the last several weeks. We don't know exactly who they've talked to, but we do know one person that they've talked to. His name is Robert Morgenroth. He's notable because he was David's day-to-day manager. Now, this man essentially knew that Celeste Rivas was missing for some time, and that's what they pressed him about. The prosecutors asked asked him, why did you not call the police upon this new knowledge that you had? And his response was allegedly, according to sources at the courthouse, that it wasn't his job to do that, and that he was responsible for keeping the tour going. As we know, he was also the tour manager and head of the music label of for David. So there's a lot going on here in terms of this grand jury. And there was also a report last month that said that the grand jury was not an investigative jury, which means that they cannot hand down indictments. But however, TMZ spoke to sources and authorities who say that this grand jury is indeed an investigative jury, and that the prosecutors believe 100% that David has absolutely something to do with this.
Wow.
Can we just give a little recap in case people are watching and just hearing about this story for the first time?
Right, absolutely. I mean, so it's a very, very terrifying and horrendous case. I mean, going back earlier this year when they found David's Tesla abandoned in a field, and inside the Tesla, they unfortunately found the body of Celeste Rivas, 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, and the body was chopped up. It was dismembered, and that's what led everybody down this trail of what happened here. Why is David not being arrested? And then over the course of several months, we learned from authorities that they did find out that David had made an unscheduled trip out to Santa Barbara in the middle of the night, and they investigated that. So that's a big part of this case, and that's probably why these murder charges are looming now, because of this newfound evidence.
Whoa.
When this body was discovered, if memory serves, David was actually on tour. Can you kind of get us updated on what we've heard from him, if anything, and what happened to the tour?
Yeah, so all that we have heard is that David was cooperating in the early stages of this, and then he did have a massive tour. He had a lot of domestic dates left here in the U.S. He was scheduled to go overseas as well, but once this thing started ramping up and the heat started coming down the pipeline, those tour dates were very quickly canceled. His record label, Interscope Records, did drop him from the website and cut all ties with him. We know also that Madden NFL had scheduled to have him inside of the game, one of his songs, and that was also quietly pulled just in the last couple days. So in terms of his music career, we really don't know where that's headed. We don't know what David is doing. His whereabouts currently are unknown, but again, he was cooperative in the beginning, but it's unclear now if he's still cooperating.
Whoa.
Okay, Branson, can we change topics? I've seen this on social media. It's being spread everywhere. Tyler Chase, he's a former Nickelodeon star from Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Videos on social media, I've seen it on Instagram, spotted him living on the streets with a meth addiction. So what have you guys found with this situation?
I mean, a very, very sad situation. Videos had gone viral about a month ago of Tyler Chase, formerly child star on Ned's Declassified, if you had watched that years ago. And these videos are very hard to watch. You see him on the streets of Riverside, very much addicted to several substances. We know that he was diagnosed with schizophrenia back in 2015. We've heard from his family. And since then, everybody has been trying to help him out, including in that video that you're showing right there, his former co-star of Ned's Declassified, Daniel Curtis Lee, who announced on social media that he was going to do everything that he could to help Tyler get into rehab. And the first step of that was that he had bought him rented him a hotel room for a few days. And in this video, it appears, you know, Tyler is still very flustered, very disheveled, but he's able to get him in the hotel room. And then about a day later, Daniel Curtis Lee did tell social media that he got a call from management from this motel, who was just furious over the fact that they found the room completely trashed. Tyler had left the room. There was a microwave in the tub. The refrigerator was turned over. Everything was disheveled, and they were very upset with that. And We also know that following this, they were able to take him into a 72-hour involuntary psychiatric hold. Sean Weiss, who's also a former child star and recovering addict, has been really adamant about helping Tyler. And unfortunately, just in the last few days, what we've heard is that Tyler is back on the streets because it's one of those things where penal laws prevent law enforcement from putting him into rehab unless he agrees to it.
Oh my gosh, so it does have to be self-motivated. What can you tell us? I'm unfamiliar with Tyler Chase and kind of how long ago he was on Nickelodeon, but can you tell us a little bit about the path that led, kind of what happened after his career started kind of going downhill, and kind of what led him to his current situation?
Well, the sad thing is that this is something that happens to a lot of child stars. We've seen this path many, many times. Tyler Chase, no different. Ned's Declassified was basically his big break. He was on 33 episodes of that show, and then had a few bit guest roles in shows like Everybody Hates Chris, and then a couple other shows on television. And then around 2011 is when he stopped acting. You see that resume end at 2011, and then it's unclear what exactly happened between 2011 and 2015, but we do know in 2015 he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. His father had told news outlets that they have been dealing with this for some time. He has been addicted to several substances, not just meth. He is also on prescription drugs for that schizophrenia. So this has been a long road, essentially from 2015 all the way to 2025 now, so 10 years of addiction. The sad thing is they did find him out back on the streets after that psych hold, and they found him in the freezing cold smoking meth once again on the streets. It's just a very sad situation. You can't, lead everybody to rehab like they say.
So Tyler was the most darling child. You'll have to look it up.
Yeah.
You'll recognize
Do you
him,
remember
I
the
think.
show?
I do.
Okay.
Can you tell us, you mentioned that his dad said that he has been dealing with addiction problems, mental health issues for some time, but what about their efforts, his family's efforts to get him help?
One of the notable moments from the family we did hear about was the fact that they've already tried everything, essentially. They've tried the motel route. They've tried the rehab route. Tyler himself has tried to agree to it many times. We've seen him verbally on video, for example, with Daniel Curtis Lee, saying that he is down to go to rehab. He is down to try to turn his life around. But in the case of addicts like this, the family has said time and time again that they have tried everything here, and that it really just is a circle back.
I can't even imagine the pain that they're going through. That's awful.
So tragic. Branson, one more question. This is kind of off topic, but before we let you go, we had reported a couple things out of the Rob Reiner case, the murder case there, that the autopsy results for Rob and his wife were not going to be released here, and then there's been some question about whether cameras going to be allowed in the courtroom. What is do you have any insight into what your newsroom's hearing with regard to the latest in the Nick Reiner murder trial?
Right. Well, all I can tell you is that we do have a podcast here called Two Angry Men, where Harvey Levin and his co-host Mark Garagos, a very, very heavy legal lawyer here in Los Angeles, he said that it's very possible that cameras could be allowed in the courtroom, and that it actually would be a very good thing if they had cameras in the courtroom, because then it would allow the public to then see exactly what's going on, in a sense where Rob Reiner, we do know that many people have spoken out on his behalf, saying that Rob Reiner would never want the death penalty to be handed down to his son. And that in that case, his son being on trial, that again, he would never want that to happen. So having the public able to see that and be a part of that would be a big help if they did have cameras in the hotel room. But again, on the terms of the autopsy reports, all I can tell you is that it was a brutal scene that the authorities had found in there, and that they had died from multiple sharp punctures on their bodies.
Branson, all right. Thank you so much for getting us updated there. Hopefully we'll be speaking under more positive terms the next time we check in with you. Happy New Year. We appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Thanks, you guys. Talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. We're going to take a quick break now. But back here in Illinois, we have some every year on New Year's Day, new laws go into effect. Some of them are, related to traffic laws and that kind of thing. But there's a number of different new healthcare laws that are about to.
Talking about vaccines in Illinois.
Vaccines, the vaccine schedule, whether they match up with the federal mandates. So we're going to go through all of this with a lawyer. He's a partner at Salvi, Shostak, and Pritchard law firm. He's going to run us through some of the most important healthcare laws that we all need to know about here in Illinois when we come back right after this.
Do Pixit continue?
Welcome back to Chicago Now. It's 10:21. So some new healthcare laws are set to go into effect in Illinois in the new year. So we're getting a list of the most important ones that you need to know about with Matthew L. Williams. He's a partner at Salvi, Shostak and Pritchard.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here this morning. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. Call me Matt.
Matt, I know
Yeah,
you guys
thanks.
have been busy. So we're headed into the new year. What are the main takeaways, the biggest changes as we head into 2026?
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting new laws from my perspective is the Illinois Department of Public Health is going to require training for healthcare professionals who provide medical care to mothers and pregnant mothers. And the training is focused on self-awareness of implicit bias or conscious bias. You know, we all have unconscious biases. And the Illinois Department of Public Health is going to require any healthcare professionals who renew their license or their registration who take care of women, and they're mostly focusing on prenatal care of pregnant women, and to try to decrease the disparity in mortality for the marginalized racial and ethnic communities, because the studies have shown that that patient population tends to have an increased mortality when it relates to pregnancy. And so they're trying to make it safer, which is a good thing.
I love that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good protocol here. Is there any kind of real world example you can give where this implicit bias training might make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, to give you an example, so I represent people that are injured due to medical negligence, okay? And so, unfortunately, I've seen a higher percentage of my patients or our clients are minorities, unfortunately. If you ask for a real-world example, I had a client who was in her late 20s, an African-American woman who had an acute onset of blindness due to a thrombosis or a clot that was compressing her optic nerve. She went to the emergency department, and the doctor kind of dismissed her as being kind of, he gave her like a psychiatric referral instead of doing a CT scan, seeing if there's something causing compression on the optic nerve, and she ended up blind. Horrible thing. And I have suspicions that if that was a white woman, she would have been treated differently, and that's sad. And so I think what the Illinois Department of Public Health is doing is they're trying to at least make clinicians aware of this. Okay, it's an unconscious bias. They're not doing it on purpose. The medical profession tries to treat everybody the same. But we do see, and there's studies that show that patients who come in with a clinical presentation that is similar, they can be treated differently just because of their race. And so by promoting this training program, at least at a minimum, it's educating the clinicians that this may be something that they need to be aware of. And if they're aware of it, they might be able to prevent it from affecting how they treat the different patients they come across in their practice. So I think that's a great thing.
Okay, so I'm also reading here that there's going to be new testing regulations about how we're feeding our babies. What is this about?
Yeah, it's just if you put into the product into the commerce in Illinois, you have to test it on a monthly basis. I think if you don't do that, then if there's high levels of toxic elements in any of these baby foods, you won't know that until it's too late, until a lot of children have suffered injury. But by testing it early, you might be able to detect something that has higher levels of toxins and then take it off the shelf sooner to avoid any kind of massive injury from a unsafe product.
I have wondered about this, especially because these are the most vulnerable little babies in our community, in our world, and these babies get poisoned by their baby food, by baby formula. It's so frustrating as a parent because I don't understand how this happens, but I do appreciate that they're going to have to test these things on a monthly basis.
There was a massive, I remember there was a baby formula, not only a shortage, but a huge recall. Wasn't there a big contamination in one of the facilities?
We've seen that in a lot of different products. I didn't mean to interrupt you. We've seen that in a lot of different products, and a lot of times you don't know there's a problem until you have a lot of consumers reporting the same issues, right? And so with babies, let's say a baby gets sick from a toxic element in food, it would be really hard to know that for sure and trace it back to a particular food unless there's a lot of it happening and you can make that connection, right? And so why wait until that occurs? Let's get to it right away to prevent it from spreading and getting worse. And so I think that makes sense. A lot of sense.
I mean, once a month seems like a no-brainer. I'm wondering kind of what it would have been before. Well, I have one more question before we move on to the next topic about the implicit bias training. If we can go back to that for a moment here. Because we've been reporting that a lot of what is coming down from the Trump administration, they're actually, in some cases, saying that they are going to withhold any federal help to any companies and organizations that do what they call DEI. So how does this square with the priorities of the Trump administration with regard to this implicit bias training? Do some of these agencies risk losing federal money over this?
Well, I would hope not. I mean, I hope that Trump and his supporters would recognize that it's important to protect minorities and to protect their health, to protect their safety. I think this is a different issue than the DEI issue. And so I don't know how any reasonable government person or group would think this is a bad thing, personally.
Okay, so now I'm seeing the pool of medical workers can determine someone's physical ability or eligibility, to work. So it expands from physicians to include nurses now. So this is another new thing that's happening this year.
Yeah, I think some of these laws, I've noticed a pattern, and we may talk about another law in a little bit, where I think they're trying to take some of the work off the plate of the physicians and the nurses. And it may be that it's difficult for patients to get appointments with doctors. And so what they've done is they've expanded the scope of people that can determine eligibility due to a disability. And so physician assistants and nurse practitioners, they essentially are doing a lot of the same things doctors do on a regular basis. And so the new law allows them to determine if a person is disabled and is eligible for benefits. And so they can probably potentially get in easier to see a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant than they might be able to see their doctor.
I love that.
I think you alluded to this in terms of expanding who's able to do certain things in the healthcare world. Prescription pickup. There's something changing in 2026 with regard to who's allowed to pick up prescriptions, correct?
Yeah, and again, I think this is what I mentioned earlier, that for patients that are undergoing hospice care, any designated employee of that hospice agency can pick up medication for those patients. It doesn't have to be a physician. It doesn't have to be a nurse. And one thing I like about this new law is it also takes some of the burden off the family members who are, struggling with a loved one dying. It's one of the worst things anybody could go through, and watch a family member die during hospice care. They don't have to have that burden of going and getting the medication and doing that. So I like that new law. It just makes that experience a little bit easier for the family, and it takes some of the onus off the nurses and the physicians in getting that medication.
Matt, can you speak to any laws that almost got passed but didn't quite make it this year that may be considered again for next year with healthcare?
I'm not aware of any that almost got passed. Usually we don't hear about those.
Oh.
Those are usually argued in the back rooms of the legislature.
Right.
And so I'm sure if I'm sitting here next year around the same time, there'll be new laws that hopefully will do good for the people of Illinois, like I think these new laws are doing for our community.
We're both parents. Caitlin's kids are a little younger, or her youngest is a little younger than mine, but there has been some talk in the news about, and we're speculating at this point, about changes in like the federal recommendations when it comes to immunizations and the vaccine schedule. Are you hearing anything at this point about what we could see different in 2026?
I have not heard anything about that. I heard you mention that before the break. I'm not aware of any new laws in Illinois as it relates to vaccine schedules. I think, the decision on vaccinations is a very personal one between a patient, parents, and their doctor. I know a lot of people have different opinions about that, but I think Illinois hasn't, as far as I'm aware, made any changes as far as vaccinations are concerned.
We'll have to see. I know they just met yesterday, and the CDC along with a panel in Washington. Matt Williams, thank you so much for getting us updated on some of this new stuff about to go into effect here in Illinois. We appreciate it, and we do hope to check back in with you in the new year.
Sounds good.
All right.
Nice to meet you both.
You too.
Nice to meet
You too. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Caitlin, you're going to pick up all your note cards. Going to give you a chance to do that, Caitlin.
Yeah.
And we're also going to talk about dealing with the in-laws when it comes to some of these awkward conversations and issues that may have sprung up during your family gatherings.
Juicy.
I know. We're going to talk to Love McPherson. She is one of our go-to relationship experts when we come back.
Are you ready to ring in 2026?
up, you guys. 10:34, and this is the title of this next segment that we're doing. Dealing with in-laws you don't like during the holidays. So the holiday season means spending time with family, which also includes your in-laws sometimes. And 60%, this is kind of surprising to me, 60% of Americans say they have a hard time dealing with their in-laws. 70% of those say it causes issues in their relationship. So we're going to dive deep into this topic, hopefully get you some answers, some help, some tips to deal. Love McPherson, relationship expert and certified marriage and family counselor. Good morning to you.
Oh, it's always a pleasure being here with you all. And Anthony, I love the fact that you said that I am the go-to relationship expert. Let's keep that in mind, okay?
Exactly. There's a reason we keep coming back to you. You're a friend of the show at this point, love.
I'm a friend of the show.
So we need to drill down here, okay? First of all, love, why do so many people tend to have issues with their in-laws?
You know, I think it can be a problem on both sides. First of all, the in-laws may be dealing with some levels of grief that, I wouldn't talk about, but because they are losing somebody. So at that point, this is what people are vulnerable to. You have to make a conscious effort to choose me as your mom. If I didn't do things right, if I wasn't the best mom, or if I have some flaws, then you may not choose me. On the second hand, the person who is most relevant in your life that you loved and that was your first love, that person who is a spouse has to come in and say, will I be the one chosen? So sometimes there is a territorial thing that's happening depending on your background. If you have abandonment issues or if you have insecurities, it can definitely affect it.
So do you feel like the biggest issue that people have with their in-laws on both sides is just the overstepping, or is it the not showing up enough?
Well, I think it could be a little bit of both depending on the in-law. So it's not always the same with every in-law, but I do believe that the overstepping can be a problem, especially if you have, say, if you're a wife with a mama's boy, or even worse, a baby man, okay, who's not taking up the leadership role and the mom is controlling. Or you could be this pampered princess where everybody steps in to take care of you and does not give the spouse the ability to take care of you. So it really depends on the dynamic. Some people just don't like new people. Some people don't like that person. And sometimes you have created the conflict, the spouse has created the conflict within the family. Why? Because they have secretly spoken bad about that person, but the person does not, their family does not have the same level of love and grace to give their spouse. You're in conflict, you speak badly, and then you make up, and that a person in your family has not made back up.
Yes, don't do that. Don't talk bad about your spouse to your parents, because they will not forgive that person.
Ever.
Yeah, ever.
Okay, let's dive in, love, to some of your tips here. One of your tips is seeking clarity, and you say that some in-law conflict is grief, not hatred. Will you kind of unpack that for us?
Yeah, and as I mentioned before, it sometimes is grief. And they are literally grieving the loss. What does grief mean? It does mean that you've missed the loss. You have lost something. And sometimes it's not a reality that you've lost something. It's just that the roles have changed. And so, but that doesn't mean that everybody is able to handle that. And I'm telling you, if you already have wounds and scar tissue in the area of loss or abandonment or death or things like that, or even just feeling like you were not enough in that child's life, that could be an issue for you. If you are the person, the spouse, who is undergoing the treatment related to your in-laws' grief, then you can't excuse, neither you nor your spouse can excuse the bad behavior. You could seek clarity by speaking to the in-law, having conversations, but you cannot excuse it and have somebody deal with this for the rest of their life.
Okay, love, so my question for you is, how do you feel about the notion of you get married and this is now your family? And so it's you two and your family against the world, basically. So if there's an issue with somebody on the outside, including parents of yours or your spouses, you've got to support your spouse and your little family? Or do you feel like that's not right? That's not how it should be. It's a community effort to, you know, raise kids, and the family should have open arms no matter the circumstances.
I think, again, it depends on individual types of families. Now, I love multi-generational families, and I am part of that. However, when it all comes down, I say this, and this is the belief that I stand by, is that blood is thicker than water, but covenant is thicker than blood. And so there is a spot where, in my belief system, that you leave mom and dad and you cleave and cling and reunite and connect to your wife. And so your highest priority, not to abandon your family, not to make them less than, there is a hierarchy in everything. And so the hierarchy should be that your covenant relationship should be of value to you and of highest priority.
I love that.
You also advise love to, and Caitlin alluded to this, but maybe we can unpack it a little more, is how often do you see sharing complaints about your spouse to other people within the family? Is this a really common thing? It seems to me like it would be a instant no-no, but
it is an absolute common thing, unfortunately. You know why? Because for all of your life, you've been used to sharing your concerns. You've been used to going to mom or going to dad when you're having problems and dad fix it, or mom just has a really, really good ear, or your siblings. Your siblings love, they'll listen, they'll talk. You have transparent conversations because stuff that happened in the family was able to be talked about. Say if that was your relationship with your parents. So this feels like it would be no different. However, there is an instinct in a mom often to just rescue, to save you, to protect you, an instinct in a dad to protect you. And so someone who is mistreating their spouse, mistreating their child, is going to be a natural instinct to want to save them. Now, there are mature parents who don't initially just run to the rescue of the kids. They understand that you have to grow up and deal with your issues, and they are able to separate. But that's a difficult place, especially if you think that your child is being treated unfairly. It's almost a mom instinct to go and, you know, do the Karate Kid stance and stand there and, like, you know, one leg up, okay?
Yeah. I can imagine, because I was speaking from the perspective of, like, being a spouse, you know, and not talking about a spouse, but as a parent, like, if you put yourself in the other shoe, that's really tough territory.
And to see
that person get territorial
of your baby.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have any words of advice?
Okay, so for myself, the person you see behind me, 42 years of marriage. So I understand the dynamics of marriage. I understand a lot of the do's and don'ts of marriage by trial and error. And one of the things that as you become my big age, you begin to say, you know, if you see somebody being very mature or irrational or negligent in a relationship, it can hit you that much harder. And you feel this is not going to work. So you become defensive. So it's a lot of dynamics at a certain age when you have the privilege of perspective that you also feel this can be harmful for my child in the long run. And it can.
So I'm wondering too, so let's say that there's a situation where, I'm speaking for people at home who are watching perhaps, where you do not get along with your in-laws and you're married. What is your advice on how they should handle it? Because you don't want to really take your spouse away from their family. Do you think it's just open communication, setting boundaries? What do you tell people?
No, this is the thing. I should not be having to maneuver the conflict between somebody else's parents. First of all, if the person whose people it is, like we call people, handle your people, okay? Handle your family. Don't throw your parent, your spouse into the ring to box with your family. You have had a lifetime to deal with the dysfunctions of your family, the issues that they deal with. You've had a lifetime to develop coping skills. You know what they're like, all of that. Therefore, if it's your family, It's your responsibility. Your family, your responsibility. This is not WWF wrestling or something where we do a tag team and I hit you when I'm tired and you jump in the ring after me to tackle my parents. No, this is your job to make sure that your family does not attack your spouse. That's part of the protection that you sign up for. I don't care if you're male or female. That's part of the covenant that you sign up for if you say, I do.
What happens, though? What would your advice be if someone doesn't follow that advice and there is resentment between a spouse and, let's say, your parents? Let's say it was my spouse and my parents, or vice versa. Do you have any thoughts on how to break the ice again or give these different parties an off-ramp from this conflict?
You know, one of the things that you have to really take into consideration is this. When you began to build up resentment, because that's what you're setting up yourself up for. You resent the fact that I'm not being protected. You begin to resent the fact that you are minimizing their behavior or making excuses or behave for your behavior, or you feel that it is not working. This is what I will say, and studies back this up. There is no gray area in this area. If you don't choose one side or the other, you betray both. It will feel like betrayal because you didn't fight for me. The mother will walk away if it's a mom or a dad. The mom will feel like you betrayed me as my child, all I've done for you. Or the spouse will say, you chose me and you choose your mom over me. There has to be clear lines of boundaries, and people who have functional families who love you will respect boundaries. And so, yes, there has to be boundaries. And in my family, there have always been boundaries. As a relationship expert, I impose self-boundaries. I will not give my children any unsolicited advice in their relationship. And everybody needs to be on board with the asking me for advice. And so that's a self-imposed boundary. As parents, we need to make sure that we are imposing boundaries upon ourselves when it comes to allowing our children to flourish in a marriage.
What about when you do have
That's
babies?
so smart.
Like, let's say that you have issues, it's the grandparents, but you don't want to take the grandparents away from the grandbabies. How would you handle that so it gets a little more complicated other than just the spouses?
You know, I would not want the grandparents to, the children to suffer not having a grandparent. However, a lot of times when we have discussions like this, we don't see a full picture of some of the things that I see. Sometimes the grandparent is so toxic, they have been so critical, they will body shame kids, they will not grow. They may be suffering from an addiction. They may be the type who will promise and get the grandchild excited and never show up. So now the grandchild is dealing with self-esteem issues, things like that. If the relationship will actually hurt your child, then there needs to be boundaries.
Yeah.
However, this is what I actually see in real life is this. I find the most toxic, abandoning parents have become the very best grandparent. In fact, I have seen the child of the abandoned, who has dealt with the abandonment of their parents, actually become jealous of their children's relationship with their parent, because they feel like you had the capacity to love like this, to be this sacrificing, to be this present, and you couldn't do it for me. So that's a whole different therapy.
Wow, that's interesting. They're almost like trying to make up for it later in life. That is super.
And they're more mature. You might have had their 16-year-old self or their 21-year-old self, and your grandchildren gets their 40-some or 50-some-year-old self. That's a whole different person.
Interesting. Wow. Oh, we need a whole other segment to talk about that.
Yes.
Love McPherson, thank you so much as always, and Happy New Year to you. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Happy New Year.
Bye.
She's so right. She's so right that the boundaries are so important. Even without going into specifics, but there have been times where boundaries have been pushed on both sides, and I feel like, in a healthy kind of functioning situation, when those boundaries, when a certain party gets close to those boundaries, it is important to point out, hey, you know what? Back off on this one. We got this.
Yeah.
We got, you know what I mean? Just to nip these problems in the bud, although it's way easier said than done.
I love what she said about how blood is thick, but marriage, the covenant is thicker.
Yeah.
Because marriage is hard, but you gotta lean on each other.
You do.
And and I think family gets complicated. Family gets complicated. Hopefully you got some helpful tidbits there.
Yes, exactly. Maybe some food for thought. Okay. When we come back after a short break, we are going to be checking in with our folks over at Brookfield Zoo Chicago, what is trending over there, and also some trending topics with regard to wedding planning. You're going to see this hilarious video that is going viral, and this is, how do I say, a very left-brained approach to whittling down that wedding guest list. That's when we come back.
When you find yourself betting on sports.
The Elsa we're familiar with this time of year typically prefers ice caves, but the Elsa we're going to introduce you to today here at Brookfield Zoo Chicago likes more of a tropical climate. I'm here with President and CEO Dr. Mike. Tell us about this amazing bird behind us.
So Elsa and Mortimer are
obviously
hornbills here at the zoo. Really cool birds from Africa. Just a really unique animal with that long beak. There's a bunch of different species of hornbills that all share that common characteristic that's great for helping them to grab hold of their food out of tiny spots.
And so right now they're eating some crickets.
Yeah, so we've got an enrichment item out there right now that's got a bunch of crickets in them, so it's releasing those crickets out, and they're going to town on them.
So this is the African red-billed hornbill. Try to say that 10 times fast. Tell us what else we need to know about this animal. Is it endangered at all?
It is, yeah. So we're seeing, loss of habitat throughout the range that can lead to the bird's population declining. Really unique animals, though, is a fairly monogamous pair. So the two, the male and the female will lay the eggs in a hollowed out cavity in a tree, and then they actually cooperatively together sort of enclose that female into that nest cavity in the tree, and the male brings the food back to the female in the nest. So little tiny slit left in the opening that they've sort of caked in with mud and other leaf-like material, and then the male will feed the female female while she's incubating the eggs, but it protects the female in the eggs until the young hatch.
What you're telling me here, what I'm hearing, is that I could be a couch potato and eat whatever I want. My husband could be like my butler.
That's right.
Yes, if reincarnated as one of these birds.
Yeah, you'd be locked in a tree cavity, but otherwise,
well, there are downsides.
Pretty good deal.
And again, where are they found in the wild?
Africa. So, yeah, Central Africa.
And then there's so many other species. Are they located in other parts of the world, or?
So really kind of interesting situation of what you would call convergent evolution. So developing the same characteristic in two different locations. So if we think of a toucan, similar kind of long-billed bird found in the Central and South America versus the hornbills that are found in Africa and Asia.
Amazing. All right, well, you can come see them here, Mortimer and Elsa at Brookfield Zoo, Chicago.
So cute.
Nap bomb.
Those little, well, of course, she's adorable.
And the animals.
And the animals, exactly. I love how she introduces, it feels like Natalie gets to introduce us to a new species every week.
And she's so knowledgeable. She remembers it all.
Yep, exactly. All right, this is something that I would say, unless you do an elope thing where you go to Vegas with your sweetheart to get married, every married couple, newlyweds, have recently gone through that painful task of pruning down that wedding list. Well, one couple is going viral for the husband-to-be's very methodical approach to getting that wedding list pared down. Check it out.
We've both sat down, gone through this list, and we've tried to figure out personally.
This is like how much you want them.
How much you want them at the wedding. Yeah. So how important it is to you that they come. We have done the first two columns in conjunction with one another, and then we have scored these individually. As a result, each guest has ended up with an overall score. It is out of 40, and we have then used an if.
Okay, so.
I can't believe
to paraphrase, I know there are actual names there. But here, so you see the different columns there. Which side, bride or groom. Each party gives a likelihood of coming and then importance. And then at the end, the color-coded stuff. The green, the ones in green, those are like 10 or 40 out of 40. Those are A's. Those are all getting the invite, right? Mm-hmm. The yellows, slightly less, and then it goes all the way down to F. And so basically, this is the husband's decision-making tool.
I like how it says likelihood of coming 0.
Exactly. So if that, okay, so then that is one of those, hey, we don't even need, we're not going to waste the invite, or we can, and we can plan around them not coming.
We didn't have any issue keeping our list small.
How's that?
We just invited
just everyone you wanted to?
And like a couple friends.
How did you keep it small, or was it huge?
100 people.
Okay.
Which people add up fast, though, because you invite one person, they're going to bring their spouse, they might bring their kids. But what was your experience?
So we were at 125-ish, and it was stressful because what I remember about, and I've probably blocked some of it out, is that when you invite one person, it's almost like oh my gosh, if we invite this person, that opens up a whole other can.
I get that.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, you
invite one coworker, you got to invite
exactly. It turns into. Exactly.
I understand.
Did you ever take a class on Excel?
No.
Okay, I took like an introductory class on Excel, and what it does is there's things called if statements where it's if this, then that, right? Okay. And you plug, but it's all. So that's why I think it works so well for this guy, is because it methodicizes, I don't even know if that's a word, it basically makes it into a process, these if scenarios, and it can map it out for you, because that's what was the hardest thing about paring down that list. And yeah, Maggie and I ran into a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. We also kind of had a destination wedding, though.
That's nice.
In North Carolina, and my family's in Michigan, and Graydon's family's in Indiana and Virginia.
When I was younger, I never understood, hey, why would you want to do a destination wedding? You know, your family. 1,000%. If you think things are going to get too big or too dramatic, do the destination. I would highly suggest that.
We lived in North
Oh, okay. There you go.
So it wasn't a destination for
us. Yeah.
But for everybody else, it was kind of a big commitment.
Oh, man.
Oh, we got to wrap it up.
We have to wrap it up. We got another fun hour of Chicago Now. I hope your Tuesday is going great. I hope you're off work today.
Yes.
Joining us from the comfort of your home. Exactly, in your slippers and bathrobe with something hot to drink.
Some tea maybe. Yeah.
We'll be right back after this.
He must be Doc Martin.
Alrighty, the 11 o'clock hour of Chicago Now. We made it by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah, that's said nicely. Look at that beautiful
We
sky.
are here. That's what matters. We are here.
Yeah, and a few hours away, well, a little more than a few, but people are going to be out enjoying New Year's Eve across the city of Chicago. That's going to be a good time. So we are actually hosting a special event of our own to ring in the new year, and we're going to talk all about it.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
I got to catch my breath. I was running up
funny
here.
because in the 9 o'clock hour, I had to change my battery real quick, and I was also jogging to the set, and I'm like, and then I started talking. I'm like, wait, actually, I kind of nailed that. I didn't really make myself sound. Oh, here, have some wine.
No, I wish it was wine. This is water.
Isn't it so cute? We got a little Fox local little cup, guys.
Yeah, I got to start drinking more water. So this is my commitment to myself. And then I found out, you know, our ice machine was down. You know, first world problems. But I had to go to, it is still down, so this is out of the fridge, but somebody told me taste it because so many people keep their lunch in the fridge that it makes its way into the taste of the ice.
I've had that before.
So I hope I'm not surprised here.
So
Let's
you might
find
taste
out.
some chicken with that ice. Ooh.
It's something, but it's not bad.
Okay, it's that fridge taste. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I'll live through it. Anyways, let's talk about what else we have coming up on the show. We're going to closely look at the New York Times year in pictures. We'll see what pictures actually made the cut this time around. But first, our friends at Block Club Chicago have been tracking ice activity across the area, and they're joining us to break down everything that happened in the year 2025. It feels like 2025 wasn't just one year. It feels like it was several years roped into. I'm ready to leave this year behind.
Obviously, this is one of the biggest stories that we've been following this year, also with Block Club Chicago as well. So we're getting a breakdown with Block Club Chicago's Francia Garcia Hernandez. I'm hoping I got your name right, but thank you for joining us, and correct me if I was wrong.
You did. You nailed it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Well, Happy New Year to you. Hopefully you're getting ready for some great New Year celebrations. But let's talk about this ice in review.
Yes. Well, as you mentioned, really 2025 was the year for unprecedented ICE and Border Patrol activity here in Chicago. And at Block Club, we really reported on this daily, on the ground, breaking news, all types of coverage. But we decided to do a look back and review everything that we know happened during the time that ICE and Border Patrol were here. We documented, we created an archive, and we looked back at 16 key events during Operation Midway Blitz. You're seeing some of those scenes on the screen right now. These include, everything from the launch of this operation, what we knew at the time, to what we actually saw unfolding in Chicago streets, tear gassing of neighborhoods, rubber bullets used on protesters and journalists, and all sorts of detentions that were not aligned with what the Department of Homeland Security initially announced would be.
Francia, one of the biggest issues during, all of this ICE activity in Chicago has been transparency. And I think that's something most people have asked, how many people were detained? How many people were deported? And some of those questions we still didn't get answers to. Was Block Club Chicago able to actually find out that detailed information?
Yeah, we have over 4,500 number of detentions. Of course, this does not include any people who might have been detained, questioned, and then let go. This could have been U.S. citizens or legal residents because the government does not keep track of those detentions. But we know over 4,500 immigrants were detained. Block Club analyzed data from ICE, and we also found that over 60% of those did not have any criminal convictions or pending charges, and that the overwhelming majority of people detained and transferred into ICE custody from January 20th through mid-October were nationals of 8 Latin American countries.
Francia, I'm thinking of the year review while you're chatting, and thank you for that information, of all the stuff that went down, right? Maybe that first week in Broadview when, a priest was hit, or the raid on an apartment building, thinking about all these things that happened throughout the year. What are some of the biggest or most tense moments that maybe you want to point out and remind our audience of?
Yes, we really looked at many of these key incidents, and to be honest, there were many, but some of these include the South Shore raid, as you mentioned, the apartment building that was raided by Border Patrol and saw hundreds of agents from different federal law enforcement agencies rappelling from a helicopter, breaking into people's apartments while they were sleeping, zip tying everybody they encountered. We also went back to the case of Marimar Martinez, a Brighton Park woman who was shot 5 times by a Border Patrol agent, and the federal government later claimed she had tried to ram the cars of Border Patrol agents, but that case fell apart as soon as it was introduced into the courts. We looked at some of the most flashy detentions, including the case of Ruben Torres Maldonado, a father of a teen battling cancer here in Chicago, who was detained while shopping at a Home Depot in suburban Niles and separated from his family, including daughter Ophelia, who was battling cancer and had just returned from a month in the hospital. We also looked at Broadview and the violent response and ongoing protests that happened there, and how members of the clergy, protesters, and even journalists were faced with violence, with the use of chemical weapons, with rubber bullets. We have some video footage in our story that was obtained through a lawsuit, and we have a lot of new information and updates. What happened to some of the people that were taken away during these operations? What happens to their families? What happens after?
I think a common theme of what you're saying there is getting people's stories to hear what they endured, what they encountered. Did you find a common thread in some of those stories? Was it that, what the public was being told wasn't actually what those people really were about, what they endured, etc.? Was there any common thread in the stories that you've heard?
Yes, the majority of families we interviewed who had someone detained were Latino. They worked, in landscaping and construction, in jobs that are really important for the economy. And their families have said, they're hardworking fathers. They're providing for their children. They're good people. They don't have a criminal record. And that is at odds with what the Department of Homeland Security and the Trump administration has said. They have said they're targeting the worst of the worst criminals. But many of the people we know were detained and later deported had no criminal charges.
Did you find that people were willing, more people than you thought maybe, were willing to talk about what happened or their family members, or was there still a lot of hesitation, a lot of convincing to talk about some of these, you know, touchy subjects and making sure that they know that they're safe telling their story?
There is an element of fear that still lingers for some families. Those who have people in detention still fear that their family members could be retaliated against. We also had organizers who refused to share their full names because they had been targeted by federal agents before and had been detained and taken to Broadview to later be released without charges. So they were definitely afraid of coming forward. They still did, but they didn't want to be fully identified out of fear for retaliation or some concerns.
I want to ask you, you know, moving forward, we did see, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, you know, even though it was cold outside, I think most people thought, you know, the ICE activity would die down, but we did see Greg Bovino back in town. I want to talk to you about really looking at this from a broader scope, right? You talked about the people that were deported that were landscapers. You know, many of them had this extreme criminal history that was touted by the Trump administration. You found that many of them did not have that. In terms of like what this means, due process of law, you know, we've heard of that before, where people should be able to get the right processes in the judicial system, be treated fairly. Do you see that being the case of how these cases have been treated, that people have been able to get you know, the right legal process where, you know, you find out step by step what's happening to your loved one, you can talk to them, you kind of know what's going on with your case? Or is this a situation where the government has had full control and that's it?
What we found from talking to legal experts and even some immigrants who have had someone detained and their own experiences is that that's not the case. There's a story in our story about one of the men who was detained in suburban Chicago. By the next day, he had been flown to Mexico, where he has not lived for over 25 years. He said he asked for an immigration court hearing and he was told he would get one, but before he knew it, he was being boarded to a plane and taken to Mexico. Once there, he asked what happened to the, you know, to the court hearing, and he was told to go to a consulate because at that point he was in Mexican territory. It didn't matter that he had asked for due process, and what we heard from experts and attorneys who have been involved in these cases is that many people were forced or pressured into leaving the country, many times without even having the chance to speak to a lawyer. We've also heard from families that they scrambled for days before they could figure out where their loved ones were. And even though they checked the ICE detention system, they could not find their family members.
You know, Francia, we know that they kind of turned their sights over to North Carolina, to Charlotte. I'm curious, have you guys been able to kind of keep up with what's going on there? Is it similar to what we saw in Chicago, where it seemed like, one, you know, there was a lot of I don't want to say theatrics, but a lot of, you know, videotaping and
things for social media.
Yeah,
social
promotion
media
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then also them detaining people who don't seem to have this criminal record. Or what have you heard reports of out of North Carolina, if you have?
Yes, we tracked what happened in North Carolina, and even though there was some ICE activity and Border Patrol activity, it was not nearly as big as it was in Chicago. The number of arrests is also significantly lower. It's in the hundreds as compared to the thousands here in Chicago. And we really did not see the length of the operations that we saw here in Chicago. We also didn't see the display of violence that we saw here, the use of chemical weapons on protesters and neighbors. That was not as common as it was here in Chicago.
What do you think is the biggest takeaway, you know, from Block Club Chicago's year-ender? What would you say people should take away from it? Why should they read it? Why should they care?
Yes. One of the things we try to do with this story is document the truth, and we think the truth really matters. What we saw during the several months that activity was very intense in Chicago was a flurry of social media videos, of statements, and a lot of questions that went unanswered. People should read this story because it really compiles all of the incidents, high-profile incidents that are unprecedented for a agency to do in an American city. We talked to experts who put this into context and tell us this really is telling of the Trump administration's agenda and the way it retaliates against democratic cities. And it really makes us want to question what the Trump administration said it would do, and what we are compiling here and showing is a different story.
So maybe what are you expecting to see for this year ahead for 2026?
It's hard to predict. I'll be very honest. It's very hard to predict, but we do not expect to see a complete ending to ICE and Border Patrol activity in Chicago. Agents in the Department of Homeland Security have said they will return, and the Department of Homeland Security has made it clear that Operation Midway Blitz is not over. So I think we will continue to see some of this activity. At the same time, Chicago residents across the city, many neighbors came together, organized, and stepped up to protect their neighbors and later to help families impacted by detention. So I think we will continue to see that as organizers and neighbors have learned.
Well, Francia, I know you guys do some amazing work at Block Club Chicago, boots on the ground, you know, making sure that you get those stories out. So we do appreciate the coverage that you provide, and we hope that the new year brings a little bit of peace, you know, for a lot of folks.
Hopefully more answers, too.
Yeah, and more answers, because I think that no matter what is happening, when you have transparency, at least you have some sense of peace.
Yeah, right.
I would agree with. So thank you so much for joining our show today. And Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me.
And Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year.
All right, Happy New Year. You know, one thing that really grinds my gears, this is kind of off topic a little bit, is when people say Happy New Year's, they put an S on it. And I want to correct them so bad.
I might be guilty of that.
And I don't, because I'm like,
no,
I don't want to put you on blast.
I say Happy New Year.
I've heard
it's
so many
confusing.
people.
It's like daylight saving. Daylight saving.
Saving time.
Saving?
Saving time.
Saving. Because you're saving that daylight.
You're saving that daylight. Because I heard somebody on TV yesterday, a couple of somebodies, say New Year, you know, Happy New Year's. And I was just, I don't know, it's just something so minor.
Send a strongly worded email to them.
No, I can't. I'm not going to do it. But it's something so minor, but like it just gets under my skin. I don't know. It's like when people use, I'm trying to, mine versus, I can't think of, mines. Oh, please stop doing that. It is mine. It's not mines. And then the seesaw scene, people get that one twisted a lot too.
Okay.
You heard it from TMZ. I seen it. You didn't seen it. You saw it.
Yeah, that's
just wanted to get that off my chest for 2025.
All right, good.
We're gonna
listen to Tia Ewing.
Saw, see. We're gonna use them in the right
Happy New
in
Year.
2026. Okay?
1 year. All right. We'll be back after this break because we have exciting New Year's Eve stuff coming up.
Proceed.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. Okay, he is the epitome, really, of Chicago, to be quite honest with you. If you don't know who he is, you've been living under
I'm
a
a little
rock.
starstruck. I'm not going to be.
You are?
I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
I guess because I know him, like, I turn that part of my brain off, and
Yeah.
it doesn't, like, feel that way. Not that we, like, talk on the phone. But, you know, we've had this kind of encounter many of times, but you're a Grammy Award-winning poet, and what's crazy is that the last time I interviewed you, I think it was on Zoom, so I haven't been able to tell you that to your face.
Yeah,
this is Grammy Award-winning poet Jay Ivey,
Yes.
Chicago born and raised, and now you're doing something with this big New Year's Eve festival that we're going to have in Chicago. I say festival because it's not like one thing, it's so many different
many
things.
artists, right?
Yeah, this is a big deal. How did you get involved in this?
They just called.
You're the right person to call.
Yeah. And asked if we wanted to be involved, and it was, yeah, of course. You know, it's Chicago. It's a chance to reset and bring in the new year with family and friends and with the entire city. So it's an incredible moment.
I'm gonna be there.
You know,
looking forward to it.
it sounds amazing. When we had, our reporter on it this morning talking about some of the happenings, but in case people missed it, what is the lineup going to be like? When exactly are you going to be on stage?
I believe in the 9 or 10 o'clock hour.
Okay.
You got Mike Dunn, you got Chance the Rappers hosting and performing. It's the Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest. So it's going to be an incredible lineup. Myself, Tari Ture, our band, The Lake Effect, we're performing. So it's going to be a great time on the Riverwalk.
I'm just surprised. I'm going to be honest with you. When I first heard this announced, I'm like, okay, I know New York has always done its thing.
Yeah.
I was shocked that it took this long to get to Chi-Town.
Yeah.
It just feels like something that we would have anyway.
Yeah.
Have you always felt that way too?
Yeah. People always talk about the ball dropping, but Chicago, this is the center of the world. It's the greatest city in the world,
Have you been able to, I'm sorry, Gabby.
No, it's okay.
I just got to ask this question and then I'll stop. I've been wanting to ask you, because I have not seen you in person, about the fact that you're a Grammy Award winner.
Yeah.
And and then they created a whole category after the fact, right? Because of you.
Well,
or during you.
Yeah, so I was nominated in 22.
Yeah.
There was a spoken word category. For 6 years, I was the one who worked on creating the new category.
Got it.
So we pushed for that, and then I won in 23 and 24. And I was the first poet since Maya Angelou, and at that time the only other poet to have won a Grammy besides the great Dr. Maya Angelou. So it's been a dream. It's something that I love doing. It's been my passion. It's been my life, my livelihood, and my life's work. And to see it come so far, out of Risk Central High School to the Grammy stage, it's been incredible.
Well, and how honored are you to, kick off this national broadcast, this national celebration, finally coming into Chicago with some of these other Chicago kids too?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. This is my city. I take it with me everywhere I go, all around the world. I call it Chicago Standard Time, so when we say CST, that's Chicago Standard Time. So wherever I'm at, I'm on that clock. I'm on Chicago's clock. Wherever I'm at in the world, if I'm celebrating a birthday, I'm always, okay, what time is it in Chicago? So it's great to be celebrating with folks like Chance and Tari and other great Chicago folk to kick off the new year here. This is where it starts.
I love your hat because it makes me think of, everything extraordinary, comes out of Chicago, which is so true. How has this, everything has come full circle for you? How has your life changed?
Life is, I think it's been enhanced. It's been more of the same. We've been able to just do more of what I love to do. So we've been touring more, been doing even more commercial work. I've done stuff with, Jordan and, different networks, and performed at the White House and the United Nations and Madison Square Garden. So it's opened up more doors, but that's kind of been the course over the years. I kicked things off back in 2001 doing Def Poetry. I don't know if y'all remember Def Poetry.
I remember that.
I was on the first season of that back in 01, and then I was on Kanye's album, The College Dropout. So it's been kind of this elevation. So this last chapter, this current chapter, has been more of
that.
A new beginning.
Yeah. Did you see that coming? Because, you know, sometimes, and the reason why I ask that is because sometimes as we get older, we're like, well, is that ever going to happen for me?
Yeah.
You know, I want that, but is it really going to happen for me, and when?
Yeah.
How much time do I have?
Yeah, I mean, you dream about it. You dream, you believe. The Grammys, it was definitely like, wow. You know, I cried and cried and cried. I cried for about 3 weeks when we won, and it was amazing because, like you say, you do it for so long. I've been doing this 30 years, and February '93 is when my English teacher, Miss Argue, made me do my first show, and then February '23, I'm walking on stage to receive a Grammy, and it was like you said, you expect or hope that things like that would happen earlier on, but for something that huge to happen now is, I mean, it's incredible, and it's a reminder to just keep going. Like I always tell people, keep going, keep fighting, keep working, and just keep believing that you can manifest the world that you see for yourself.
I love that.
You know, that's great to hear because, you know, Tia and I have talked about it on the show before, having, you know, talent agents on, having other stars like yourself. There's people who are watching, or maybe they know someone, and they are seeking this kind of advice, you know, thinking that they have a dream of theirs. They're very talented. They just don't know where to start. Maybe they think they have not as much of a head start because they're in Chicago, even though now we're seeing that stars like yourself are building up. But what's your advice to someone?
Well, I have a quote that says, you can get in where you fit in, or you can make room. So make room. Like it starts with truly loving and envisioning where it is you want to go and working towards that vision every day. You know, you start where you at. So you let the people around you know what it is you're doing, and you start expanding and you explore, you kick fear and you get to moving. Like, don't let fear kill fear will kill dreams. So you can't allow fear to kill your dreams, or doubt, or sometimes you'll have loved ones who really love you, and they can't see your path, so they'll give advice based on their life experience. But if that doesn't match, you know, or align with where you see yourself going, you have to know when to take it or when not, and just move forward. Like, the key is to keep moving.
How do you stay focused with that, though? Because, you know, we live in a world now where there's so much pessimism, right? Like, you could be talking to somebody and they're just bringing you down to the ground.
And you have it right in front of you.
Yeah,
right on your phone.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to cut it off. But I'm just curious, what do you do to, like, stay focused and stay grounded? Because that's easier said for a lot of people than done.
Yeah, I think, well, it starts with who you have around you. So I've been blessed to be surrounded by very uplifting, grounded, intelligent, loving people. Like, man, shout out to Tari Teray, who's my wife. She's a Grammy winner herself, singer, songwriter, and she's constantly encouraging me, constantly lifting me up when I get down or when I get in a slump. She's like, nah, you need to get to it, and you need people like that around you that's go constantly lift you up, and then you have to be diligent about reminding yourself of your greatness and where it is you want to go, and don't let anything or anyone get in the way of that.
Good. Very well said.
You know, if I remember right, you had a quote, it was something about your wife, I think, and it became pretty popular. You know, but do you think that's something maybe that other artists are missing? You know, having that person or your person
Some of them don't
to
even
lean
talk
on.
about it.
I mean, of course, your wife sounds like someone special, someone different, but, you know, do you think that's really what also helped nudge you to this next level?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I wouldn't be where I'm at if it wasn't for her. Like, I'm clear on that. Like I knew my mission. I had my walk. I knew what I was put here to do. You know, God would always whisper in my ear, and you know, the ancestors would talk, and I would have dreams and visions, but then you have someone next to you, like, reinforcing what you believe and what you see. And I think it does need to be talked about more often. And if you don't have that special one, go find her or him. Or, hey, 26 is the year. Go find that special one that's going.
Be open to it, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to help lift you up.
And because also one thing that I don't think people talk about, you know, when you're in an art space, there's downtime being in an art space, right? There's financial ups and downs, you know, and you got to try to figure out how to balance all of that. How long have you been married?
20 years.
You don't even look.
Congratulations.
Look at that.
And we still
Marriage been treating
together.
you good. You don't even look. What are you looking forward to the most for this New Year's Eve celebration in Chicago, being that a lot of this is the first time? What are you looking most forward to?
I mean, one is just, it's exciting to be able to perform. So I'm excited about performing. I'm very excited about collectively bringing in the new year on a just resetting again. I think that's the word I keep thinking about. I know we have our resolutions and we have goals that we want to achieve, but I think it's important that we reset the energy in Chicago, and this is a start to go out on the right foot and say, okay, whatever it is that we want to do, we can do it as a community, as a village. We can lead with love, and we can have a good time while we're doing it.
What can people expect from your personal performance? You know, is it going to be some of your hits? Is it some new stuff? This is a new year.
Is it a
it's gonna be a nice blend, you know. So it's a blend of poetry and soul, and you know, Tari, she gonna be bringing her beautiful vocals and some great storytelling. It's gonna be a good time.
Is this something that you worked on from scratch? Is this like a brand new, like this is the first time somebody's gonna see this?
Well, if you come to our shows, you may have seen some of it, but it'll be new to the rest of the world.
Got it. Okay. This is awesome.
How about you for 2026? Some of your goals, hopes, wants?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you accomplished so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny, because it's a blessing to feel like you're at the beginning of the race. Like, after being in it so long, I still feel like I'm at the beginning. So I'm looking forward to new projects, new music, new film work that I'm working on.
You almost said it.
Yeah, I was like, we got some things. Yeah, we got some things in the mix. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking some goals off of my list. And if you haven't written down your goals, make sure you write your goals down.
So true. I believe.
Why do you think that's so important?
Oh, it's a lot of power in that. It's a lot of power in the pen. I think that's why poetry has been so powerful. I've seen it save lives or change lives, but it's something about putting pen to page. It's one thing about typing, but it's a soul connection in putting that pen on the paper. So make sure that you, and I put it like this, I go and I speak to a lot of kids, and I ask them, like, okay, when someone is looking to put a law, present a new law, what's the first thing they do? Like, you know, and then somebody eventually be like, they write it down.
Yeah.
So what's your law? Like, what are your laws? Like, write your laws down. It's the first thing. That's what makes it real. That's what makes it real.
I'm just curious, before we let you go, I must ask you this, because you got my wheels turning now. What made you decide to start? Because I'm guessing we're pretty close in age here. And my thought is, when I was growing up in Chicago, you know, I think about what I visually saw, right? I didn't see anybody, of course I loved Maya Angelou, right? But I didn't see anybody writing poetry every day. So what made you decide to start writing poetry to begin with? Because when I physically look at you, I see basketball.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I wish.
No, but I see somebody that would be outside playing basketball and doing athletic things. I don't see somebody initially.
I did that, but I wasn't too good at that. I wanted to be.
Okay.
I played football. I wanted to be Jerry Rice, but I mean, it started. I used to write notes to girls.
Pimpin' ain't easy, baby. Pimpin' ain't easy.
It's necessary, but I used to write my notes. But it was Ms. Argue. Like, she made us write a poem for homework, and I come to class the next day expecting to turn in my homework, and she made everybody read that poem in front of the class. And I wasn't really into, I was into hip hop. I'm a hip hop baby, but I wasn't really into poetry per se. But I think it was a combination of Miss Argue and having that influence from hip hop, and then writing those notes and getting that positive feedback, you know.
Have you kept up with Miss Argue?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's Miss Paula Argue, if anybody wondering. Okay. Yeah. That's my girl. She like big sister.
Yeah, and I think
we can thank her.
I knew her name, and I want to say you shouted her out somewhere, like on
in my Grammy speech.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's right. I remember that because I remembered her name being embedded in my head. So can anybody come to this, or you got?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so
we down on the Riverwalk, and if it's you're not out there, we on TV. So
watch it home.
I'm so surprised that this has not happened before. You know, like this is going to be big, and I'm glad that they have the right people like yourself to.
It sounds like every year they'll be doing this.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all can call me too. I mean, I know I work at Fox 32.
We're here
for the right check. I'm just saying.
You know, J.I.V., you checked off coming on Chicago Now. That's pretty huge.
Hey, come on now.
Yeah, to kick off.
Yeah,
it's always now in Chicago.
Yeah, it is. All right, it's always a pleasure. Happy we got to catch up.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank y'all for having me.
We got to write down our goals.
We
have
do.
You done that?
Tia, I told you a couple days ago. Or maybe it was Anthony. When I write things down, I've looked back at it 2 years ago.
That was yesterday.
And things have come to fruition.
Absolutely.
It's real.
It's a lot of power in it. A lot of power in the pen.
I've heard it from both of you. I'm going to get on top of it. You guys should at home too. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Chi-town.
Are you ready to ring in 2020?
This right here should be a postcard. I was hoping we'd go to the bean, but this could be one too. Why not?
Yeah.
This would be a great picture. Okay, this is amazing. So the New York Times is helping us look back in 2025, and they have a compilation of some of the most powerful pictures that were taken by journalists over the last year, and we're learning more about all of these photos with Tanner Curtis, co-editor of The Year in Pictures. Thank you so much for joining us. Wow, that picture we just had up.
It was gorgeous.
Was absolutely stunning. I don't know where it was from. I didn't get a quick, a close enough look at it. But just talk to me about, overall the theme that you observed from the pictures that have been taken over the last year. Was there any theme that sticks out to you?
Sure, and great to be with you. And that previous picture was from the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, actually this year, of some of the cheerleading groups there. I'll say, generally, there's so much that stands out doing the Year in Pictures every year. This is my 5th year working on the collection, and we're always looking for the images that kind of capture the biggest events in news for the year, or capture things in surprising ways. And maybe show you a different way of kind of seeing the news at that moment. So certainly this year that involved ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza. It involved the selection of a new pope, a bit of Chicago tie-in for you there, and tons and tons of different ways into the kind of immigration and deportation storyline. So a lot of kind of ongoing threads of news throughout this year.
As we're looking at them, it looks like there's a good mix of things that kind of, cause you emotion, whether it be happy or sad, or make you think, oh my gosh, like this rubble devastation we're seeing here. How many pictures are you looking through? How do you even go through picking?
Well, my colleague Jeffrey Scales and I begin this process every October, and we start from scratch. So we look really through probably around 8,000 to 10,000 photos from each month that the Times publishes. That's a mix of photos made on assignment for the New York Times, as well as pictures coming in from other news agencies. And we start to whittle down from there. So I'd say this year we looked at something like probably 150 to 200,000 images and narrowed it down to the 97 that we published in the online collection.
97. I don't even know how
is this your job, Tanner? Is this what you do? Is this like your
lane?
Your lane?
It becomes our, this one project becomes my job for about 2 months at the end of every year. So, and it's really a special opportunity to get to kind of look back at all that happens in one year and kind of reflect on just all the breadth of coverage that our journalists are a part of capturing throughout the world. We're just really fortunate at the Times to be able to put journalists on the ground all over the place to cover everything from wildfires in California to the return of hostages in Israel, obviously these ongoing conflicts, but also be there for moments like the announcement of a new pope, or even something lighter like the opening of the Chicago River for swimmers after nearly 100 years.
So you're like a board of review for all of the pictures. I want to ask you, in terms of Chicago, how many pictures total were selected, and what were the themes of these photos? You mentioned immigration being one. We saw what appeared to be, I'm guessing, a mom or maybe a grandmother in that family. Looked like they were writing "Help Us" on the window there, I thought. Walk me through the pictures from Chicago.
Sorry. Oh, yeah. So on the Chicago side, I think have 3 or 4 pictures from the Chicago area in the collection this year. 2 of them are related to the kind of crackdown, immigration crackdown from the Trump administration throughout the year. One captures a protester kind of being overtaken by police during an immigration raid in October. Another captures a protester kind of fleeing from tear gas in a similar event. And on kind of the lighter side of things, we have that picture from the reopening of the Chicago River for swimmers after nearly a century. And even the Pope announcement is Chicago related, I guess. Pope Leo with his connection there.
It is. True. Tanner, do you have one? And I know that's going to be hard for us to, pick out which one you talked about, if we even have it in our little collection here. But is there one that maybe stood out the most to you? You would say maybe is your quote-unquote number one.
Sure. So the picture I can't stop thinking about is one you mentioned, and it is that photo by. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I believe it's by Federico Rios of the woman writing "Help Us" on the window in Panama. There's just something so dire about that situation and that picture that everyone kind of looking at her while she really tries to get this desperate message out. After she was she was deported from the United States to this hotel in Panama before potentially being sent back to Iran. There's just something really profound about that. It's a very simple picture, but it really resonates on a deep emotional level for me.
What do you hope? I just went to the website real quick while you were talking, and it says, really reflecting on turbulent times, which the year 2025 was definitely that for a lot of people. What do you hope people take away from, just scrolling through all of these images? Because I will be quite honest, some of the pictures that you brought up there, I have no idea where they were taken, but mentally and emotionally, they took me there to wherever it was. This looks like that could be from Chicago.
Yeah, it is. That's that swimming event.
What would you say, the mass public who goes to the website and goes through these pictures, you would want them to remember or think of?
Well, I hope that readers, as they experience the collection every year, they are able to kind of take stock of all that happens in a year. We live in very fast-paced times with an inundation of lots of news coming from different sources, and I hope that the collection every year is a place where people can kind of have a moment to pause and reflect and understand all that takes place in a year, both the bad news and the good news, and can kind of sit with that and maybe have a chance to have an emotional connection with a news image or a story that they might have missed earlier in the year. But, seeing it in this kind of more reflective space lets them kind of have that connection.
Go ahead. I know you have a question. I saw
always have questions. One of the things that, it makes me think of is we've seen, and you don't have to get into the politics of this. This is me speaking here on this front. But we've seen where, newsrooms have cut so many jobs. And when I look at your images, I think, what if those journalists weren't there to capture that moment, to tell that story visually? Because some stories can only be told. I mean, yes, you can write them in black and white and you can read them and you can ingest that, and that can be great too. But some stories need pictures with it to fully tell the story. How important do you think it is to have these photojournalists on the ground during some of these times that have been captured?
Well, I'm a photo editor, so I might be a little biased here, but I do think it's incredibly important to have independent, photojournalists or visual journalists on the ground capturing these stories as they unfold in real time. There's nothing like an independent set of eyes, witnessing an event, and those can really have broad historical impacts. We've, I think, seen that over many decades. You look at some of the images that have won Pulitzer Prizes that have changed history, and I think in the grandest scheme, that's I think what we hope our photographers are making images that capture the moment and help people kind of have a deeper understanding and relationship with the news that's happening all around them. You can't do that unless you're on the ground.
Yeah, that's true. Tanner, looking through some of these photos too, it's just like we've said, 2025 has seemed like a few years in 1 year, right? So much has happened. I guess you could argue that a lot of things happen every year, but how does 2025, in your opinion, kind of compare to maybe some of the past years, some of the images that you've collected? Is it a little more somber this year, or does it kind of seem on par with the last few?
Gosh, it's hard to compare 1 year to the next because they're all so unique. It does seem like this year we really did have a lot of more hard-hitting images overall in the collection, and it's we're always looking for these moments to bring in some more upbeat moments or some lighter moments just to kind of give some levity and show more a well-rounded version of what happens throughout the year. But kind of when the peaks of bad news are just so intense, it becomes very challenging to kind of bring in those lighter moments. But I think that is still where images like that Chicago swimming picture or this image of the woman on the train with her ventriloquist dummy, that kind of capture some of the odder or lighter human interest stories of the year for us, or that just show the breadth of what our photographers are capturing out there in the world. It's important to show that too.
Yeah, I love the story of the two girls looking on the Chicago. When I see it, it almost takes me back to my childhood. The ponytails, the hair braided.
It's so sweet. It'd be a nice painting too if someone would kind of recreate that. It's
or
beautiful.
Just get it printed and put it. Pay homage to the photographer and put it in their home. That's a question I was going to ask you. Do you know if any of these photographers actually sell or is that not allowed because they are, also working for the New York Times?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I mean, without getting too in the weeds, I'd say I'm sure there's some people who've bought prints from our photographers, but okay. I don't know how each of them kind of handle their own things. Obviously, we have a mix of staff and freelance photographers at the Times, and the rights differ a bit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, just some beautiful images.
It's beautiful.
Could be on a wall for sure.
So that makes me think, Tanner, not to put you on the spot, but are there any images that maybe didn't make the cut and you still are thinking about it? Can you describe them to us if you have one in mind?
Oh gosh, well, with some of the the big storylines of the year, we take a lot of time to consider and discuss what will be the images that kind of represent that in the collection. And with particularly the California wildfires from last January, our photographers just did so much to cover that from so many different angles. There are many different kind of ways into that story that I would love to have featured. One was about the kind of flowers regrowing in the sites of homes that had been destroyed, which are just beautiful and surprising in a way, but still so moving and sad. I would have loved for something like that to be included, but it's a matter of kind of where it falls in the year and what it has to live around. But come to mind for sure.
Yeah. Tanner Curtis, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. I know we asked you some tricky questions there. One more time for people who, want to take a look at the whole year in pictures, where can they find more information?
You can find that on nytimes.com. And thank you so much for having me.
All right.
A pleasure. Happy
we'll have
New
you
Year
here
to
again next year. Maybe a mid-year review, so that could lessen your load a little bit.
Maybe a more positive.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Thank you so much, Tanner. Appreciate your time.
Have a great day.
All right, you too. Well, coming up, we are talking about what's trending. Nobody wants to party this New Year's Eve, apparently. We're going to talk about that coming up right after this break.
Even during these uncertain times,
Welcome back to Chicago Now. Nobody wants to party this New Year's Eve. That's the headline.
Surprised. Are you surprised by this? I'm really not.
Here's the thing.
In terms of going out, I'm not surprised.
I always have so much build up, so much anticipation when it comes to New Year's Eve, and then it hits and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? Now I'm working, so I actually have the excuse to hang out. But I do love the broadcast. I do love the New Year's Eve celebration broadcast.
That we're gonna do?
Honestly, yes. And knowing that Ryan Seacrest is gonna be there, I have to work the next day, but man, I love Ryan Seacrest. I'm gonna tell you that.
So here's what I think. I think there's a whole layer of things that are happening here, almost like a 7-layer dip, right? If you follow me with this. I think that safety is an issue. I think cost is an issue for a lot of people because you gotta think some of these events are charging. So you gotta pay the tickets, you gotta get an outfit, everything is up.
Pay for the drinks inside.
Shoes are up. Go buy a pair of shoes right now. You're gonna be sticker shocked. I'm not kidding. So shoes are up. Outfits, hair, makeup, there's so much to go into it that I could understand financially why somebody would say, you know what, I'm good, I'll just stay at home. Well, the financial aspect alone, not even adding safety.
Yeah, that's true.
What are the statistics?
I'm going to go through some of them. A new survey says 24% of Americans want to ring in the new year surrounded by friends and family. Okay,
I get it.
Fair, right? 35% say they plan to just stay home and watch TV. There's wonderful broadcasts like your own that starts at 10 p.m. on New Year's Eve, live from Chicago, TOW in Chicago.
Yes, TOW Chicago.
What's wrong with me? Yeah.
It's the same.
Okay, 20% say they're going to bed early. They're not even going to stay up until midnight.
That's happened to me before where I anticipated to stay up and I fell asleep, and by the time I looked up, every celebration was over. That happened to myself and my husband. No, I was like, well, I live to see another day. I'm good. I'll do it now.
Well, 10% say they're just going to scroll through social media as the ball drops. That's not fair. Get off your phone. Share it with the world.
Say they would rather have a root canal than go to a New Year's Eve party this year.
Okay.
I think that this year, reflecting on this year, it makes you happier to have people close to you, to be able to grab on a family, to love people more. So I can understand that. And the cost, the safety, I get it. And so I'm not coming down on somebody for this. You know, traditionally, in my growing up, we always went to church on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And spent the church celebration until like 1 o'clock, go home, go to sleep. It was nothing.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we would do. Not that it was nothing, as it was, you know, it wasn't meaningful, it was, but it wasn't this big to do to get dressed up. You go celebrate God and go home and eat your black eyed peas. That was part of the tradition, the myth, if you want to say. And yeah, superstition, yeah.
You know, New Year's makes me really emotional.
Does it?
I get emotional every year as a ball drops.
Why do you think?
Because I think I just like, I love this holiday. I think it's like, you know, opening up a new chapter, reflecting on, I don't know why I'm getting choked up right now, reflecting on what has happened through the year.
Yeah.
Just there's so much possibility. Usually I am with family, and just like having that experience of all watching the ball drop or all counting down together. There's just something so magical about it.
I love New Year's Eve, honestly. I think this year I'm gonna go out there, and for once, I'm gonna party.
You're gonna rock the town.
Yep, I'm gonna be all over Chi-Town.
Rock the town.
All right, this is interesting. So 2026 bingo boards, a new way to make resolutions, is going viral on TikTok. They're calling it the bingo boards. Instead of a typical list, you can write out your goals on a bingo card, right? And you can also include predictions you're expecting to come true, like meeting a partner, getting engaged, or landing your dream job. And people always say, that wasn't on my bingo card, which makes complete sense. That's a form of expression.
That's true,
use.
yep.
So now they're taking this to the next level, literally. It's also a nice opportunity to get crafty and creative. What do you make of it?
I love it. Actually, it's another way to manifest, right? With just JIV and what we're talking about. That you want to put pen to paper, right? You want to have it visualized.
Good thing to do.
Great way to do
with
it.
your family, and your friends on New Year's Eve.
And then it hopefully helps you revisit it the next year on New Year's Eve, the next year when you make your next one. And keep it, and then cross out what you actually did. Maybe you get a bingo.
I really like that.
I do too.
That's really fun.
Another thing that we're all looking forward to in 2026, especially, we need to have Sylvia Perez up here because we know that she's got it going on. She can give us all the explanation. But new restaurants that are opening in Chicago in 2026. We know that more and more people are coming here because it's almost like it's a foodie destination. Let's be real.
I'm not gonna lie. In some ways, I get mad when I find out more people are coming because I'm like, that means more. No, sometimes I do as a Chicagoan through and through because I'm like, that means more traffic. Like, can y'all stay where you live?
Yeah. Okay. Well, this one's up in Evanston.
This is good.
So you'll have to travel to Evanston. It's called Burl.
I love the name.
B-U-R-L.
I love the name.
Set to open this winter. Their website doesn't have the menu yet, so it's unclear what kind of food it'll offer, but Eater says it will focus on seasonal and globally influenced cooking that's centered around a wood-fired grill. So I'm thinking like an elevated, I don't know, Seasons 52, have you heard of that? Where they have like a seasonal menu and they're really like basing their options off of what's, you know, new and helps your body best during that time of year.
I also think by keeping it kind of like under wraps, it has the anticipation growing.
Yeah, I agree.
And so people will be like, I was the first to go try it. You know, I think that's like almost like a social media play too, which is very smart from a business perspective. This last business that's opening up, I love the name, because I love calling people's mothers. Call Your Mother is the name of the restaurant, expected to open in the spring. It's the expansion of a bagel chain that started in Washington, D.C., and it's got good sandwiches like the Jet Ski, which has brisket, pastrami, sofrito, jalapeno, and cheeses. They play hits from the late, this is my kind of party. They play hits from the late 90s and early 2000s inside. That looks so good right now.
It's aesthetic, it's everything that needs to be.
Call your mother.
Okay, I love it.
Call your mother.
This one I'm also excited about because of the location. It's in a River North historic McCormick mansion. It's called The Hand and Eye, expected to open in the spring. You don't hopefully have to wait that long, but look at that. Look at the front. It'll be the country's largest magic venue with multiple theaters, a restaurant, a members-only dining room, and a rooftop bar. The project cost $50 million.
Oh yeah, I want to walk into something that costs.
And we'll see if it costs a little bit more, but I'm glad that they're doing something special with this. I wonder if they have enough of a magic scene around, you know, in order to have it be for membership.
Yeah, there's a magic venue, and I can't think of the name of it right now, so don't kill me. But
is it
the place that looks like a laundromat?
It's so fun. It is so fun. Isn't it just called the Magic Room?
The Magic Room, yes. It's so crowded. So it makes me think if you have a bigger space, you'd have more.
Yeah, the Magic Room is amazing.
Beautiful
too.
inside.
Really great.
All right.
The last one.
The last one, Gibson's Tavern, Gibson's Restaurant Group is coming to Fulton Market in the fall. Hey, and guess what? We'll see you in the new year. Be safe, be blessed, manifest, do all the things.
Make that bingo card.
Happy New Year, people.
Happy New
Write
Year.
it down and make it plain.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at Noon.
Now at noon, cashing in on the high price of meat, the settlement with processors that could mean money for you.
And from the NFL back to college ball, what Chip Kelly will be doing for the Northwestern Wildcats.
It is calm and cold outside, but we could see some snow on New Year's Eve. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Sylvia Perez.
I'm Anthony Ponce in for Natalie Baumke. All eyes on the forecast for tomorrow. Caitlin Cody, I know a lot of folks are going to be flocking downtown. Millions.
Millions, right?
Wow.
Yes. What are they going to be contending with?
It's going to be cold. Tomorrow night, cold. We have the chance for some light snow as well, but the bigger story is going to be the temperature because at midnight, I expect to be in the teens with lows that night. So we're talking about tomorrow night down to about 10. For today, we actually have some